welcome to week 9 of Sarah's Singing Dog vlog. I'm going to be carrying on with my recall chat from last week, so I'm just going to deal with one particular recall issue, which I like to call dancing. It's not really dancing dogs, but it kind of looks like they're dancing, because what they're doing is they're coming to just within reach and then they dart off again when you try and grab them. So you end up playing this game of catch the dog, which gets ridiculous and yeah, needs sorting out. So perfectly fixable. I'm going to teach you how to sort that out. But before then, I'm going to sing a song. Bit different this week. I've been wanting to sing a song for weeks and weeks and weeks from Groundhog Day, which hence the t-shirt, because I'm finally going to do it. The reason that I haven't been doing it is there's no backing tracks. So it's really tricky. I was going to try and get one sorted, but I haven't been able to, and I just really want to do the song. It's a very conversational song, so I've decided that it doesn't really need a backing track. But the problem is that if I don't have some sort of backing, it's quite difficult to keep it in key and stop. I've noticed that what I'm doing is I'm getting higher and higher, which is quite funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my wonderful headphones on so that I can listen to the backing, but you can't, and then you don't have two people singing because that's just weird. So I have to get these to stay on. Right, this is a song called One Day. It's from the musical Groundhog Day, which is one of my favourite shows. If you haven't seen it, then it's definitely worth a ticket to Broadway. Or you just wait till it comes back to London, which might be a bit easier. Anyway, here we go. I was brought up in taffeta dresses and taught to be pretty and precious, spending my playtimes with plastic princesses who all had those bodies just utterly ludicrous. Minuscule waists and huge boobs, and it's all nippleless and no pubes and no creases. I mean, Jesus, it's pretty confusing, especially at 6. In that fairy tale world, all the girls end up happy ever after, wooing their knights in shining armor. But some nights on the track, you can bet they'll be trapped, spending nights in shining armor. While their knights spend their nights at a bar or at a ball with some harlot. I'm not bitter, it's just better that I don't fall for all that romantic bullshit now that I'm older. Although I don't mind the thought of being tossed over a shoulder and trotted off to a mansion by some ruggedly handsome man in a fireman helmet, and have him just use me for sex. As I say, it's a little complex. One day, someday, my prince may come, but it doesn't seem likely. And even if he came and he liked me, it's likely he'd be not quite my type. Someday, they say, he'll come riding up on the back of a horse. But of course, I'm allergic to horses. How will I tell him? He'll just have to sell him. I went to school with a girl. I remember her well. She was pretty smart and pretty as hell. Her folks had a farm, but she wouldn't stay, of course. She wanted Prince Charming, so she went to LA, of course. Managed to seduce a famous actor or producer. Shacked up in a house in the hills with a cat and a juicer and a fancy car and a tennis court. But the guy wasn't quite the cat she thought she caught. He treats her like trash, and then you know the drill. Takes his cat and his cash and finds some younger girl. So she's left with this stupid Corvette and an empty swimming pool which she fills with regret. Smart girl, but kinda dumb. And I'd rather be lonely than sit on my fanny, waiting for my prince to come. One day, someday, he'll come sweeping in and sweep me off my feet, and spend the next 4 decades wanting to cheat on me, getting less handsome and fighting his dragons. He'd know what to wear. He'd have a full head of hair, and his eyes would be brown a blue, a green, well, I don't care. And his body will be toned with those pecs like you get at the gym. But he won't spend all his time at the gym, and he'll love reading books. He'll be an excellent cook. He'll be good looking, but not too aware of his looks. He'll be tender but tough, and smart but not smug, and attentive but not fawning, and he'll smell good in the morning, and he'll dance. And like hiking, and baking, and biking, I'm not picky, I just ask that he likes me and I like him, and I'd rather be alone if the only other option is to come and settle down with some condescending clown with a great rating from some dating service, some self-professing Mr. Perfect, another narcissistic legend made $1 million out of hedge funds. Another sexually ineffectual, self-obsessing metrosexual, pseudo-intellectual, getting drunk and existential every time the Steelers lose a game. Thanks, but perhaps some other day. One day, someday, my prince may come, but I won't hold my breath. There's only divorcees and weirdos left. And weird is fine, but not all the time. One day, someday, my prince may come. So the fairy tale said. 30 years later, it's still in my head that if I screw a frog, I will wake in a 4-poster bed. Okay, well, I hope that went okay. I couldn't actually hear myself very well. The headphones were a bit bizarre. Anyway, yeah, that was really funny. Sorry, I'm making myself laugh. Right, okay, recall, dancing, darting away, whatever you want to call it, not wanting to be back and have the lead put on and all of that stuff. Generally, the reason why dogs end up doing this, there's a few reasons. Quite often, they just don't want to go home. They're having a great time on their walk, and they know that when you want to get them back, it's because they're going to have their lead book back on, and they're going to go home. And they're having so much fun, they just learn, when we get to the edge of the park, and they call me, let's not go. Let's maintain the fun by coming and having this big game. So that's one reason that it happens. Another reason that it happens is actually kind of fear. Now, I'm not saying you're doing anything horrible to your dog, because you're not, or at least you don't feel like you are, and you're not doing it on purpose. What I mean is that the dog is just getting scared of being grabbed. Okay, so it's happened a few times where they used to come up and then they started coming to about there, and I don't know, maybe they just stopped one day and sniffed something, and you thought, oh, for goodness sake, I haven't got time for this, and you just reached out and took their collar, probably nicely, not meaning to upset them in any way. But some dogs get really freaked by that, and it might have made them jump, and all it takes is one little thing. And then they go, oh, I'm not doing that again. I'm not coming close enough for them to grab me because I didn't like it. And if you've been grabbing them a lot because they've been playing you up a lot, that then becomes very conditioned. It becomes a big thing where you need to grab them because it's the only way you can get them back, because they're not coming close enough, but they don't want to be grabbed. So the whole thing becomes a vicious circle. Okay, so that's quite common. So it's either wanting to stay on the walk, not wanting to have the lead put back on, fear, they're just actually scared of coming because they've been grabbed one too many times and they don't like it. Another one is they're just game playing. They're just literally winding you up deliberately because it's fun. Okay, so they get used to the idea that if they stay at arm's length and they never quite let you get them, they end up having this whole big game with you and they think it's marvellous. You end up chasing them around and they're like, yay, this is brilliant. Even though you're like, I'm going to go insane in a minute. So, okay. So, what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that coming back doesn't signify the end of the walk. We've got to make sure that your dog isn't scared to come back to you, and we've got to make sure that coming back to you is better than having a big game of not coming back to you. All right? So, fairly straightforward. First of all, we've got to get them back. We've got to start getting them back. All right? So forget leads, forget putting them back on the lead, and never, ever, ever lean and grab. I don't want you to do that ever again. I don't want you to try and catch your dog. If your dog doesn't come to you, I know it's frustrating, but you're going to have to practice this in your gardens when you've got plenty of time. You know, if you're worried, don't let them off the lead for a bit when you know you're in a rush. So if you've got to get to work or you've got to be somewhere and you need to take the dog out first,
then don't let them off the lead if you're worried, or put them on a long extension lead or a training line or something, okay? Don't make it ever so that you are in a mad rush and you've got to grab, because as soon as you start grabbing and chasing them, this whole thing is going to escalate. So that's, first of all, never ever grab, okay? Do whatever it takes to make sure that you're never leaning and grabbing ever again, all right? As well as that, we've then got to get them to want to come to you. So I know it sounds really obvious, but treats, toys, fun things. But, very big but, like mine, don't hold the toy here. We don't want any leaning and reaching. We don't want to hold the treat there. You need to make the dog come to you, right in, okay? Now, the best way to do that, I don't know if you can, I can't actually see very well, hold on. Can you see me if I crouch down? Yeah, a little bit, you can still see me. Okay, you're going to crouch right down, hold your arms out, and then as the dog's coming in, you see my hand, you're going to bring them in with your hand, and they've got to literally, you can't really see that, they've got to come here into your legs. All right, so they've got to come central to your body, but with you crouched down, never lean over from the hips, keep your upper body upright all the time, and they come into your body, okay? So that's the number one thing to try. Making eye contact and getting down and making eye contact is really helpful, because dogs generally will want to come to you if you're looking at them, whereas if you're leaning and you're not making eye contact, they won't want to come to you. So crouching down is a good one. If they still come to about there and you're crouching down, you're going, come on, and they're like, no, I don't think so, turn your back on them and encourage them to come to the heel position instead. Okay, that's much less confrontational, it's non-threatening. I also at this stage don't want you to take hold of their collar or anything. They're just going to come, and when they come close they get a treat, they get a fuss. Just make it fun, make it light-hearted, make it non-stressful. Again, like I say, you need to do this at times when you're not in a rush. You need to practice it in the garden, you need to practice it in the house, you need to practice it on walks where you've got all the time in the world. Okay, so don't do it first thing in the morning when you're rushing off to work afterwards or whatever. Do it when you've got plenty of time, when it's completely stress-free, and you can actually see this as a training exercise, not getting your dog back. It's fun. We're doing some fun training. You can do it, I mentioned last week, there's a little trick for this where you get them to come around and come in between your legs. Now that's marvellous if you can teach them to do that. Not everybody can, not all dogs like to go between legs. Some dogs, that will be a fear issue, to actually go underneath something. So it's not going to work for every dog, but it's going to work for quite a few dogs. But, again, big but, you need to make sure they don't get wise to it and start avoiding doing the middle exercise, because they know that they're going to have their lead back on and leave the walk every time you do it. So the last thing is you've got to make sure that you're putting the lead back on all over the shop, okay? So not just at the end of the walk, throughout the walk, frequently. Call them and get them really close, either in the heel position or close in. I want you to also, if you're ever going to put the lead on, and to practice putting the lead on, when you call them in and they come close in, you'll never take the collar over the head. You take it under the chin, underneath. Okay, so that you're going like that to the dog, not like that. Okay, take the collar underneath at the exact same moment that they get the treat, and then let go. Collar, treat, let go. Collar, treat, let go. Collar, treat, let go. I want you to practice that in the house. I want you to practice it in the garden. Just randomly, every time you call your dog, collar, treat, collar, treat, collar, treat. All right, so that taking hold of their collar in that non-threatening way, underneath, not over the top, becomes really, really positive. Really nice, really non-threatening, really happy thing. I just get a treat every time. And then when you do need to put the lead on, collar treat, you've got that collar, clip the lead on, walk for a bit, take it off. The lead doesn't mean we're going home. The lead means we're going to walk down here, we're going to do a sit and a wait and a recall, and then you can have the lead off and you can go and run around a bit more. Okay, do something fun, not just treat. Always do a bit of training. That's why that coming through the middle thing can be really useful, because they're doing something other than just coming. So it doesn't actually need to be the going. That sounds like a really fancy trick. Oh, there's this wonderful thing that makes all dogs come back. It doesn't need to be that. I've always done some sort of fun thing every time my dogs have come back, from them being little puppies, from them being rescue dogs, whether it's just been a sit wait and recall, a spin, some heel work, a down. I've always got them to do something rather than just coming and standing there and getting food. It's always been they're doing something for their food and they're having fun. Again, as I said in a previous one, I can't remember what week it was, dogs love to work. They're not like us. They don't see work as a dirty word. They see it as, yay, work, work, so much fun, all right? They enjoy training, they enjoy using their brain, they enjoy doing different things. Don't always do the same thing. Once you've taught them a few different things, sometimes you might want to ask them to do a sit, sometimes a spin, sometimes the middle, sometimes a finish round your back. There's a load of different things you can teach them to do when they come back to you, but it needs to always be fun, okay? It needs to be fun, it needs to be exciting, it needs to never be reachy and grabby, okay? I've never actually had this dancing issue. I've had about 10, 11 dogs in my life, and I've never had this happen to me. And I don't know why. I think even before I did this job, I was never a reachy, grabby sort of person, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I've just got lucky. Maybe I've just got lucky. But I also think that I have always made dogs come close to me and sit and do something before they have their lead on or their collar or their treat. And I think that's a big part of it as well, that I've not just called them back and gone grab, lead, off. I've always called them back and made them do something first. Just because that's more fun for me as well, to be honest. It's just less boring than just walking around a field and then clipping a lead on and off you trot. So yeah, be very non-threatening. Put the lead on at loads of different times. Collar treat, collar treat, collar treat. Try the calling to heel. That works wonders. I've actually been out with a little French bulldog today. Beautiful little, gorgeous little girl, and she had the little dancing issue as well, and everything we did, I crouched down and caught her in here, and she came every time to that. But if I turned and faced her, she would stop about 2 feet away and go, oh no, I don't like that. So I've said, fine, we do this for weeks, for however long it takes for her to get used to the idea that coming close is a positive thing and not a negative thing. And also, go nuts with the fuss and the praise. That should be fairly obvious, but treat, do that little fun exercise, whatever trick, going through your legs, doing a spin, doing a finish, doing a sit, doing a down, and then yay! Okay, whatever your dog really loves. If they've got this issue, you need to get them out of it by making coming to you the most positive thing on the planet. Okay, because if they are dancing at the moment, that means that coming to you is being seen as either negative or they're taking the mick. They are really taking the piss out of you by dancing away and turning it all into a game. So we have to make coming to you more positive than that game. All right, so you've got to be really fun, really exciting, really non-confrontational, and just fabulous. You have to be fabulous, otherwise your dog's going to go, oh look, squirrel, oh let's play this silly game. All right, so I'm hoping that's sorted that out for you. I'm giving you lots of tips. I will probably do recall 3 next week and talk about chasing. I know I've had a few comments and people saying they're desperate for that one. It's a bit of a tricky one because I can't really tell you exactly how to fix it, but I can give you some ideas. But the best way to fix most serious recall issues like that is to actually call out a professional and get them to help you, because it will vary. How we deal with it is going to vary quite enormously depending on the dog. Okay, so I will have a chat about it next week, but it might not be as in depth as this, because it can't be, because I'm trying to talk generically, and it's not really a generic thing. Sorry, I'm losing my voice tonight. Right, okay, I think that's it. I'm now just rambling. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Please like, please share, please subscribe as usual, and tell all your mates and get everybody watching. And I'm sorry if the song was a bit weird without a backing track, but I hope you liked it anyway. And please download the soundtrack. It is phenomenal. And I will see you all next week. Thank you very much.